You're watching QTV this morning. I am Ibrahim Abalde. We are back again on another edition of your morning program. It's where we celebrate Bob Marley Day. 11 May, we play a lot of Rastafari music. And of course, you know, for the strong head, there'll be a side doing their thing. And for us, the dull heads, I mean the empty, they call us the empty heads. We'll also be at our corner, you know, enjoying our music, you know. I'm not seeing a lot of Bob Marley vibes now during 11 May because the trend has changed. A lot of Afro beats have taken over. You know, the reggae music is dying, although most of the reggae enthusiasts refuse to agree to that. The reggae music is dying. So, good morning. Thank you very much if you're just tuning in. We are back. We are broadcasting from the Gambia, West Africa on QCell Avenue, Serekunda. And I have Julde Njai with me. Julde, good morning. How was your weekend?
Good morning, Ibrahim. Good morning to Mr. Moje and to our viewers from wherever you're watching us from. Yes, my weekend was really good. It was fine. Yesterday was the commemoration of World Press Freedom Day. And, you know, I attended that and we reflected on, you know, some of the challenges confronting journalists in this country and the way forward. But the center of discussion was about the media regulation that the Ministry of Information came up with.
Thank you very much. And our guest for the newspapers is no other than our own Mr. Momodou Mbodj. Mr. Mbodj, good morning.
Good morning to you.
It's good to have you here, Uncle.
It's my pleasure being here.
Yeah,
you know, when you said QCell Avenue, I said, wow, this is an interesting one.
Yeah.
We haven't moved location at all, but we've moved address.
Yes.
The location.
Extraordinary, isn't it?
The location.
From Kairaba Avenue
yes.
to QCell Avenue.
Yes.
Just like that, without moving.
Yes. We painted the street orange. and the location changed.
Yes.
Because the power was too much. The location couldn't maintain its former name. It has to change it because QCell New Hewle, Q Group
To a more modern infrastructural development oriented avenue.
We want to see a lot of street names. For easy access. Today, tell a person, tell a person, a delivery guy, meet me at QCell Avenue. Absolutely. You know, my home is along the road of QCell Avenue. It's easy to access.
Yeah.
You know what these things does is they create, you know, easy access and employment as well, because it's easy to access what you want to do. Yeah, so on the program, we'll take a look at the newspaper review with Mr. Momodou Mbodj, of course, and of course the African Code. We'll be talking to Anna Foster, Executive Director, Africa Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies. She would be here. There's an event coming up. Achieving AU Agenda 2063 goals. She will tell us what are the steps that they are going to take to make sure we achieve this 2063. And we will be how many years old, Julde, by then, in 2063?
You're expecting to be alive then.
Yeah.
To talk of
yes.
how old would
if
we
we are
be?
alive, probably in our 80s or late 70s. Yeah, so we'll be here. Cervical cancer situation and preventive strategies. We're talking to Mbayang Jom, Senior Communication Officer, Expanded Program on Immunization, and Mamanding Kinte, Senior New Vaccine Officer, Expanded Program on Immunization. They would be here and we'll be delving onto these topics. Let's do the African Code. Julde.
So our quote this morning reads, "The moon moves slowly, but it crosses the whole sky."
We did this one
We
not
did?
that long ago.
Okay.
Well, I'm not sure
I think
whether you were here.
last
but
week.
Myself and Balde
Last week we dealt with
was
this.
here as well.
Yeah.
We did, and to some extent it is quite self-explanatory. Patience, consistency, as it were, gets you there, you know. But especially when we're talking about long-term plan. That's really where you need that patience. Because in the short-term ones, maybe you do this or you perform that and get the outcomes you want or not. But in the longer-term ones, it takes a certain stamina, stamina of mind, stamina of soul, you know what I mean, to really see you through, because you're going to meet so many difficulties, really. But how strong are you? How resilient are you to surmount these things and move beyond? I think it's particularly with long-term goals. So, what do you see?
Absolutely.
How do you see it?
It's talking about patient. The patient dog eat the fattest bone. Although dogs sometimes prefer beefsteak and meat.
How do you know?
But they
Have
only,
you asked them?
they only
Have
get
you
the
bothered
bone.
asking the dogs what they prefer?
Well, everybody prefers the meat, not the bones. I mean, the dogs are animals, and human beings are the most high-class animals. So we understand, we can relate.
So we are high-class animals,
Yes,
did you hear that?
of course, we cannot be low-class
So who
animals.
appointed you high-class animals?
Because I am high-class animal.
No. You see, when human beings appoint themselves high-class animals, you sense that that's unfair. I mean, go and ask the dog. The dog will say that they are high-class animals. Go and ask the cat.
But Mr.
Hey,
Kuracha taisa kanama. This is human beings deciding.
I think those
No, but
those are animals that are created to serve us.
Well, you are a judge in your own case. Hamding the lulu sinko defe elsewhere, then the system, the scheme itself is flawed. So it's a judgment for it's just flawed. You are being a judge in your own case.
But what is the reality in that, Mr.
That's my point. I cannot escape being a human being. So but I can imagine just as today, if you court, then you know you're going to be a judge in your own case. I know that system is flawed.
Yes, but here, let us try to break down this into pieces. You understand?
Let's go to
what is the difference? What is the difference between the human being and the animal itself? It's because of the mind.
That's difficult. That's difficult. We used to believe in all sorts of things, the moral sense, reasoning. We've said all sorts of things in the past, but now modern philosophers are coming up with all sorts of complex ideas, blurring certain demarcations, certain lines that we thought that were just so pronounced, were just there. So things are quite blurred when you look at the literature, what philosophers are saying. So I cannot tell you, I don't know.
This is nature. So let's not even debate about it.
Even talking about nature, that's a philosophical point, actually. What does it mean? We all have different conceptions of it.
Well, I rest my case.
Yes, we have to.
I rest my case, you know. Yeah, so, I mean, it's talking about gradually, you know, little by little, you will get there.
Sure.
Do not care about a person who is doing better than you, okay? Life is a journey, you understand? We all have different paths and different ways of getting to our destination.
Right.
But at the end of the time, what matters is you get to where you want to be.
That's,
You understand?
So crucially, it's not about speed.
Yeah.
It's not about
It is about consistency.
Consistency.
Yes.
And achieving your desired goals.
In the
I
end.
think that is very important.
Exactly. So,
You know, Danyog is a lot of people sometimes, they're very fast, they achieve things quickly and all of that, but it's not consistent. They can't stay there. It's so hard that they can't stay there because they were in a rush to grab that, and once they grab it, they don't even know how to handle it. So I think consistency, speed is important. But again, you know, how are you going to maintain that? That is important. You know, the road to success is not a it's not a smooth one. We know it's a bumpy one. You know, it requires a lot of things. But what does success even mean in the first place? What you see as success and what I see as success are two different things. For me, success is about every day waking up and having a good health, peace of mind, and, you know, a sustainable life, something that can sustain me, and I am okay. For you, success can mean having a lot of riches, luxury, and all of that. So it's not about how far you've gone. but about whether in the process of doing that, whether you have the fulfillment that you desire, that self-fulfillment. I think it's very important. Oftentimes we move in life and all of that, but are we even having that sense of fulfillment in our lives?
So you mean the individual success would be if you achieve your goals, whatever that they might be.
Right.
And you see the different people who have different goals.
Right.
So yes, one understands it at that level, but socially, the societal expectations, societal definitions, they matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We are judged by that, whether we like it or not. That is what happens. So societal measurements of success, I don't know, do you have lots of money? The material inevitably will go into it. Do you have lots of money? Do you have this? Do you have cars? Do you have this and that? So this is the key. If you're going to go against society and say that you're going to do your individual thing, you're going to be individualistic, well, the price will come. With society, there's always a price, whatever you do. So one just understands that whatever choice I make, I should be willing to pay the price. Because every choice has a price.
Every choice has a price. It depends on the type of price you are paying.
That's it. So
but
you make the decision.
The price also depends on the risk that you've taken. You understand? The bigger the risk, the bigger the price.
I would like to think that, even though I don't see life as sort of with these neat correlations, sometimes you may take a big risk for little rewards. So stuff like that. I'm not sure whether this symmetrical way of looking at life, I don't see life as being symmetrical. It is asymmetrical. It doesn't, I wish that it was like that. Put in input A, you'll get output B in that neat way. But we've realized that not necessarily so.
But that depends on what the individual wants to achieve.
But that's what we're talking about.
You understand?
Your goals.
Some people might take bigger risk for small.
Absolutely.
You understand?
Yeah.
Or sometimes you can take a small risk.
And then suddenly you have such a massive power. This is what I mean.
It's not working hard, it's working smart.
Yeah, so it depends on what you what you want to achieve. But there are individuals too that have different categories of what success really means to them. You understand? Probably me, success means having a family, having a good job, you know, coming to work, paid, and go home.
That's it. Is that really a goal? Or is it simply one being resigned to your situation? I don't like resignation either. You know what I mean? You have to challenge things. You know what I mean? You just don't have to settle for whatever is there. For God's sake. Maybe when you are in your 70s, when you are an old man, maybe. But when you are younger. I want something more dynamic than that, than to merely resign. So you want people to have big ambition.
To explore.
And then you go for it.
Right.
Ambition can also be driven by where you are from. How you were brought up,
I think
what you can do, and how society also shape you. At some point,
that is his point,
you want to achieve certain things, and society will be like, "Kira for buge, kiku buge la, mungi am li ak li why, belegi mungi push, mungi buga am lele."
So this is my point. So ege fofu, it will depend on how driven you are, how strong you are as a character. Sometimes you may need to go against the society they were.
Anyway, that is what I even, because
see, absolutely. Sometimes
society,
you make a judgment. Sometimes you may need to. In fact, all social revolution, changes, evolution, character, you went against it. Absolutely. Hang it. So all new thought, revolutionary thought, they suffer. Like, I'm not over a task. We're going to build something else.
Exactly.
That's why change is difficult. Change is hard.
So, I mean,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. So we'll take a short break. And after the break, then we'll take a look at some of the papers making headlines. And Mr. Momodu Mboj is our newspaper review guest. Let's take a look at Observer 24. And the main headline reads, historic convocation and President Barrow's call. The president was at the convocation of the 18th convocation of the University of the Gambia. Mr. Momodu Mboj, I would like us to look at the numbers of graduates. 1,633. They graduated. But for me, I am trying to put one-on-one on how the government of the Gambia is going to absorb all these young graduates into the job market. How are we going to do that? 1,633, it's a lot.
No, you mean, because they're not going to be, all of them, they're not going to be employed by government.
Right.
How have we created conditions where the entrepreneurial amongst them can form startups and do whatever, and then the private sector can absorb what it can. So it's across the board. You know what I mean? How they're going to get, well, they're going to have careers from now on, whatever their career might be. So that's it. How are you going to get employment? What's the situation like? Yes, that's a different point, because when we look at unemployment figures, they're quite high. It will be interesting, though, to see specifically for graduates. I wonder what are the figures regarding graduates who are unable to find jobs. I would love to know that subset, to disaggregate it, that subset, and know
some of them are working, already working and going to school.
Absolutely,
you know.
Yes.
So masters, you have master's degree holders, obviously they are working, PhD, even bachelors.
But we know that with a university degree, or your chances of getting a career, your salary goes up substantially. The potential for high salary substantially goes up. So it's a leg up. You know what I mean?
I was like, okay, I mean, considering the labor market, are we overgraduating, students, considering the underdeveloped labor market of the Gambia? But you were quick to put up, okay, maybe they might not all be depending on the government for employment.
The very fact that the labor market is what it is, you can never overgraduate. We need more graduates right now than you realize. You know what I mean? That is one thing. The other thing is, how do you create conditions for people to have employment, as it were? You cannot use the inadequacies, the shortcomings of one, to say that then let's stifle the other because we cannot employ much, therefore let's reduce the number who will go to university. You cannot have that. Get as many people to go to university as possible and create the conditions for them to be employed. That must be in any area. And with us, we face a danger, isn't it? Especially in certain areas like nursing. Sciences.
The medical field.
In the West now, because of sort of aging population, they don't have younger ones. They don't mind migration, really, but they want to pick and choose who would go to their countries. So sooner or later, in many key areas, we've already seen it, our nurses are going because they pay you more. So I think that's the danger we face. How do we retain our graduates in this country to work?
Yes. Right. So the president was also quick to talk about the endowment fund, $250,000, for the UTG to transform into a global center of excellence. Is it enough?
Well, these things, it's a process. That's just one tranche. That's just a tranche. You will have others. Yes, it's commendable. Obviously, can anybody doubt that? Commendable ambition. It's aspirational. But there are things that you must fulfill, you must achieve, so that you'll be described as such. You know what I mean? So let's focus on what we need to do to become an international hub. How did you describe it? Because that is descriptive of a certain state of affairs, isn't it? You've got your systems in place, and they effective, and they're working. Then you will be described as such. Really, that's the tail end. So yes, we want to get to that tail end.
$250,000.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. This is a tranche. You may have more from other sources afterwards. So it doesn't mean that this is the only thing that we're going to contribute into this project. It's just one, just a tranche.
Right.
Some might call it, some might just call it a symbolic gesture, maybe.
I'm not sure whether 250 million will be called gesture. Let's be careful what gesture means. I know, you know, maybe 100,000. Let's say, man, that's a gesture.
Right.
100,000.
So yeah, I mean, it's important, and you know, I like the fact that Barrow is calling for the UTG to link research to policy. We know that that is really a challenge in the country when it comes to, you know, our developmental agenda. You can't develop a country without having the necessary research to back it. You need to have the research to tell you where we are, where we're from, and where we're heading to. So it's like a roadmap that will help the country to move forward, but without which is a challenge. Now you are asking the number of graduates that do not have jobs, but you also want those that are, you know, graduating both bachelor's, master's and PhD, but they are already in the job market. These statistics are very important for us to know how much of this 1,600 plus. It's important to know those that are already in the job market and those that are not, so that we know how to go about it.
Exactly, because some of them, you know, might be working.
Right.
Yeah, some of the
a lot of them, UTG, a lot of people in one, whether the formal or informal sector, but most of, you know, the people that are enrolled at the university.
Those are numbers that should be known.
For me, more worryingly, you're asking me to link research to policy. We're doing hardly any research.
That's the thing. That's
our university now, it's really more about capacity building. Really, we're not doing the research that we should be doing, really. So let us be realistic about our situation.
Right.
Then that will help us to chart, if you like, our future better. It's always your plans to base it on realism. That's really what's going on. We're doing hardly any research. And when you think about it, we have so many social issues. With research, nothing is guaranteed. Let us be careful with research. We do get happy stories, great discoveries in it, but it's a very weird thing. Sometimes you're researching one thing, but you discover something else not related to it.
Which is good.
You see, serendipity. They call it serendipity. So most discoveries, sort of, they come by accident, as it were. So with research, you're taking so much risk, putting in so much money, but you really have no idea where it's taking you. That is why our kind of societies, we will not spend much on research. Well, but because there are so many social issues, immediate social issues. We are not going to spend much on research because of its very nature.
So it means we are going to walk blindly then?
No, we are not. Others are doing it though. You'll be surprised.
And it's working for them?
How many universities are doing research that could be applicable to us. We are not unique. There's no human society that's unique. You know what I mean? If I look for similarities with other society, I'll see them. If I look for differences, I'll see them. It depends on what you're looking for, really. So there's research being done by other organizations that we can use, as it were. So don't reinvent the wheel.
Let's move on to another story, still on the Observer 24. Political tensions, UDP versus APRC, NPP. Systemic intimidation. Fabakary Tombong Jatta, Sidin Jai are both leveling accusation against the UDP. You know, is this a coordinated NPP-APRC strategy to point the opposition as the aggressor ahead of the next cycle? Mr. Momodu.
Is it?
2026.
And linked to that one,
yes,
isn't it the Standard? What has it got? Dabo says Barrow's alliance with APRC was key in his breakup with him. So this is
key.
was key.
This means it's one of
in
the combination, one of the elements.
Absolutely, was key, perhaps the most important aspect, as it were, that led to the
breakup.
Yes, I certainly hope so, because really 2016 we wanted to get rid of APRC. So some people obviously were surprised that 2017 with Barrow, suddenly one or two, a few, at least in the upper echelon, a few of the grandees.
So we will quickly deal with this, because the guest is already in the building.
Yes.
So before we take a break, I mean, I know director will usher them in already, because I'm aware they are already in here. Yeah. So Mr. Mamadou Mbodj, APRC, I mean, No to Alliance also, you know, is part of the coalition talks. You know, I didn't see that coming. Imagine APRC, UDP coming together.
No to Alliance. Essentially, how many MPs? 4 or 5 in a particular region in the Fonyi area. So you understand the nature of that No to Alliance, the history of how it emerged, sort of more perhaps loyal to Yahya Jammeh, really, and then the rest of the APRC more realistic. There's a new power in town, so they align themselves with that one.
Yeah.
So the compromisers and others would perhaps claim to be the purists. They want to hold on to this pure stuff. But they're holding on to a receding image. APRC on its own is gone. We've said this over and over. Parties are very much the creation of the leader. Once the leader goes, the party goes. We saw in PPP with Sadar Khairabadjar. After that one, it was gone. Before that, UP with Persar Njai. I mean, we've seen this over and over again. So what makes them think that they're special?
So my problem here regarding voter, I mean, intimidation. I mean, at some point we've seen videos circulating, registering minors allegedly. I just want to understand. I wish the IEC would be able to tell us what are they doing, I mean, to investigate this, because this is their responsibility.
Let's be careful here. I'm sure the IEC would report certain wrongdoings to other authorities. Perhaps even the police may need to come in. So how are they coordinating, as it were, with the enforcers, you know, the enforcers of the law, and dealing with these situations? You see, there must be the perception of fairness. I think that is really what is in danger here, the perception of fairness. But the idea that some people will try to break the law to get their advantage. I'm not sure whether preaching all over can make any difference there. The important thing for us is this: when anybody does it, we have the institutions and we have the people who can deal with it. So that enforcement is a deterrent. That's it. That's the key.
That is what they said.
That is the key.
That they should not obstruct or cause any problems or issues at the voter registration centers. If they have any issues, let them channel it to the right and appropriate authorities.
Absolutely, but that fairness, that perception of fairness is important.
Hey, Tim, I think we are focusing more on election campaign UDP, but we are forgetting the price of fuel just rise from
98 to 112 dollars,
and gasoline is now 120. I mean, in fact, for me, I am more surprised. Why did gasoline overtake petrol? Because normally petrol is, I think petrol is always down. No, petrol is always up and gasoline is always down. But now it went up to 120 per liter. We will soon start leaving our cars at home and use our bicycles to work.
Or trek.
Absolutely. This shows you the interconnectedness of the world. Everybody's been talking about the Strait of Hormuz. This is the result of it. So the world is all interconnected now. This is what happens.
Yeah. So
it's a world issue.
Mr. Mbodj, what are government supposed to do in this instance, at some point, when this kind of crisis hits a particular nation, I think they have a responsibility as well.
Be careful, yes. Responsibility, yes. But depending on what I can do, in these situations, you tend to subsidize.
Which
governments tend to subsidize.
Over
Absolutely.
$500 million.
But where would you get the money to subsidize? Am I going to borrow it? We are going to pay later. Or which sector am I going to take the money from? They will pay. So you have to take the money from somewhere in order to subsidize this. So either way, they will be paying.
This is a very, tricky and, crazy situation. At some point, even if you subsidize, we have to feel it, okay, there is something that is backing us up. But at some point, if you're not feeling it, you will not understand whether they've subsidized or not.
Bale, we are going through a difficult moment. Go to London, go to Washington, everybody is talking about the price rises, everybody is complaining. If they are finding it difficult to deal with that, and they produce oil, mind you, much more so with us. So one must be realistic. We are going through an international crisis. Government cannot really do much, whether we like it or not.
Well, I mean, if
they can do something, Mr. Moore.
Okay, tell me what.
With the coupons and all that,
Okay,
let them remove the coupons for.
So now, okay, now we are going to.
No, listen to what I said.
It's a global crisis.
Listen,
it's a global crisis, we know, but the government can do something.
No, I said government cannot do much. That means that allows for something,
it means
but not
they can do
something substantial to make a massive difference, to move the needle.
But we just want to feel it at some point. We want to feel something is done.
You assuage the buffer. You create a little bit of buffer. I'm going to say down.
Buffer would
it's very
hard.
Even
the kekes have increased transport.
How much are they charging?
$15.
And the transport union will come here again and tell us now fares have increased again. I know that.
And last week, was it last week or the week before, we had Omar Sise here. He said even the $10 is for kekes is on the high side. And now they have increased it to $15. And no one is talking about it. Gambia is such an interesting country where
but we are talking about it right now.
Can just get up, wake up, and then you implement whatever.
No,
and
we understand the government cannot do everything. That we agree. You understand? But at some point, too, you cannot just be like, okay, I cannot do everything.
Therefore, I'm not going to do something. No, that's bad reasoning.
Yeah.
That's bad reasoning. Just because I cannot do everything doesn't mean that I shouldn't do something. That's how it is. Where I can do something, I will. I think the focus must be now. Given the certain circumstances, what is it that government can do?
Remove the coupons. Let them start with that.
All right. That's an item on the table that one can discuss. But the fact that the situation is really very difficult and that room for maneuver very narrow for a country such as ours, very, very narrow. So we must be realistic about what government can do right now.
And do you know, when you talk about, the price of fuel going up, everybody needs to have to manage, at some point. It's not only us. Even the people using V8s.
We know
in the government or any other place, they should also maybe think about changing those vehicles. Because at some point...
And with us, the problem here, fuel, transport, 80–90% of what we consume, we import. Are you looking at the implications? The longer this Strait of Hormuz goes on, this issue, the longer it goes on, are you thinking of what can potentially happen here? The markets, everything will go up, potentially, when you import so much, and you need that transport. So it's just logical to start
everything is
to be very careful here.
And I understand, it's a global crisis. Even anywhere you go, it's the same thing. But at least
it's a more reason why we should be more disciplined, financially disciplined as a country.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm talking
I agree.
about.
As an individual, when I'm going through certain circumstances, I'm be careful of my spending. a nation is like that as well. When you're going through difficult circumstances, how you can cut spending in certain areas.
Financially disciplined.
Fiscal discipline, financial discipline. Absolutely, that's what they call it.
Yeah, so thank you, Mr. Momodou Mbodj, for
pleasure.
talking to us on QTV this morning. Yeah, so, I mean, it is what it is. Let's rest our case here, maybe.
And we are what we are.
Yeah,
we are
what we are. Yeah, viewers, at this point, we'll take a short break. After the break, we'll be talking to Mrs. Hannah Foster, Executive Director, Africa Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies. And we'll be talking about the Achieving AU Agenda 2063 goals. This morning, I am Ibrahim Abalde. Now, let's head to the third segment of this program, and we have Mrs. Hannah Foster, Executive Director, Africa Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies. Good morning, Ma.
Good morning, and thank you very much.
It's good to have you here. A long time.
Yeah. Indeed, yes. I'm sure you've been busy, but we are privileged to join you this morning. Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah. So it's important, Julde.
Yeah. So as you know, we're having the forum on the participation of NGOs in the 78th ordinary session of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. Talk to us about this event, first and foremost.
Okay, thank you very much, Julde. This particular activity is a recurring activity. We have it before every session of the African Commission on Human and People's Rights. And it's a platform where you have organizations and institutions working on human rights and governance coming together and looking at the situation of human rights on the continent, and also coming up with proposals, resolutions, recommendations, and commitments for civil society itself to be able to see what solutions together we can work on and achieve. This particular, the next one is going to be held here in Gambia at the OIC complex, and it's from the 7th to the 9th of May. Thursday to Saturday of this week. And I'm sure you are also aware that the main theme is dwelling on the AU theme of this year, which is achieving water availability, sustainable water availability, and also ensuring that sanitation systems speak to the citizens of Africa. Thank you.
Yes. So why was it necessary to come up with such a theme at a time like this? Why did you come up with this very important theme? Okay,
the theme is not originally ours. The theme, because every year the African Union comes up with a theme which is also amplified by other partners of the African Union. And since the African Commission on Human and People's Rights is an organ of the African Union, we felt that as civil society working on human rights, it is important that we look at the human rights perspective from a human rights perspective, this particular important theme. One would say that in Africa or in the Gambia, yes, we've been talking about sanitation, water, you know, and it should be a redundant topic. But you'll be surprised to find out that there are some communities that do not even have drinkable water. Yes, and we are in 2026.
I agree.
Yes, so it is important that, yes, and people have a right to clean water. A right to a clean environment, a conducive environment to live a healthy life. So if that is not available, and sanitation, you know, I was listening to somebody the other day, and they were saying, yes, they are building nice roads, but where is the
drainage?
Yes, where is the drainage for it, you know, and that causes problems, because if you do have your toilets and your water that you are going to be drinking together in a very unhealthy environment, in the long run, the citizens will suffer. So this is something that we need to talk about, and we are going to put it on the table. And most of the panels that are going to be presented, we'll be looking at it from that angle. How does it affect women? How does it affect the youth, the children? And looking at some of the instruments that are providing for a healthy environment, because water and sanitation are very important.
That's life.
Yes. It's important. The last one, you were focusing on the countries like Sudan, the crisis there and all of that. For this particular NGOs forum, do you have any specific country that you're going to focus on?
Yes, we cannot have Sudan on the top of the list, because I'm sure you are aware of the conflict in Sudan.
Yes.
And one of the arguments is that the reason why Sudan conflict will not end soon has also to do with water. You know, they are in the north, you know, water is scarce. And so they are trying to get them to go up north. So the fighting is pushing them up north and taking the water and the river, the rivers where they can get water for their cattle, water for their agriculture. So it's all part of the politics. We call it water politics, yes, but nobody will talk about the water, which is an essential part of the conflict. But water is very much a part of it. If you go back 10 or more years, it is there since 2003. It is a strategic point of making sure countries like Somalia, countries like DRC, in the lake region, they are pushing them north, yes, so that the south will be occupied, the south where you have the minerals, you have the resources, you have flowing water. That's the water politics. That's
so I want to know, what is Africa's progress? What can you tell us? I mean, how can you gauge the process in achieving this Agenda 2063?
Agenda 2063 does have a whole lot of areas that we need to deal with. We want a prosperous Africa. We want an Africa that will speak to the needs of its people. But is that really happening?
I just want to, in fact, I wanted to say, okay, Ma, how realistic is this? We can say big things.
But yes, of course, because if you have a particular illness and you are like, oh, I don't have money. You don't have money, that is why you are not going to seek help. You need to seek help.
But if you don't
Africa
have money,
is in a condition.
If you don't have money, you cannot buy medicine.
Yes, but there is always a way out. Where there is a will, there is a way. As we speak, you find out that we have 2.7 million displaced Africans on the continent. We also have 23.4 million affected by acute food insecurity. Yes, and that has its connection with water and agriculture. We also have 5.1 million children malnourished. They are yes, some of them, they eat once a day, if at all. Yes, and these are situations that are closely linked with water availability. Yes, so what can we do as a nation? What can we do as Africans? The problems are there, and no one person or no one government can solve it. So that's why the African Center, as Secretariat of the Forum, puts it on the table. Yes, the African Union is saying this, but let us look at what can we do, and what are our expectations from our governments, what are our expectations from the African Commission itself, who is the premier institution charged with ensuring the achievement of human and people's rights on the continent. So that's the platform that we are pushing for in the next few days. And as we all know, it is important. Just because you don't have money doesn't mean that you will not go out and look for where you can get help and food.
What is the biggest gap that is slowing down achieving this agenda?
Most times people talk about lack of resources. But at the same time, we are being told that Africa is the richest continent. Yes. Yes.
You see?
Isn't it? I'm sure you've
I keep
heard
asking myself, okay, how?
Yes. I'm sure you heard it. You've heard it at some point.
Many times.
Yes. So how can we as Africans make good use of our resources for the benefit of our people? That's the big question. And we need answers. And it doesn't come from the center or even just the forum. It is a collective responsibility of each and every African, of each and every state, and each and every citizen of Africa. So, as I always say, the problems are there. And just paying lip service does not give you the answers. We need to strategically sit down and know that contribution should come from each and every one of us. And what for us is more important is having this platform, having this meeting, this forum, that we sit together and look at the issues that are challenging each one of us in these times, and to see what we ourselves can bring to the table and what each citizen can bring to the table, and those institutions that are charged with this responsibility, because they also, we have expectations of them. And they have a direct link with the African Union, whose main theme is looking at water, sustainable water, and making sure that sanitation systems work for the African people. So it's not an easy subject, because how many years people have been building wells in the communities? How many years have they been trying to make sure that they uplift the lives of the people? It's like a national anthem. But what have we been able to achieve? How many of our countries have been can boldly say that we have achieved? When you look at even when you look at the SDGs, it also talks about sustainable water. It also talks about a whole lot of things, and there is a cross pollination between these topics from the AU as well as from the UN SDGs. So how can we? Yes, the children are malnourished. They don't have enough food to eat. What do you call it? The mothers, expectant mothers, and even the lactating mothers. Some of them don't have enough food to even feed their babies. So, and who is in charge? We cannot be saying it's government. Yes, because we know that there is a limit to what government can do. But what can we, beginning with ourselves as citizens, what can we do?
So at that point, I wanted to ask, I mean, young people, how can they be involved in terms of policy making, decision making, taking up challenges, taking up things on their own?
I have seen young people take up their responsibilities, and I have seen some of them who seem to be lost and don't even know where to start from. It is important that young people also stand up and be counted. I've followed a couple of campaigns, yes, but you cannot run a country on empty promises. Yes, so we have to see them making sure that there is a lot of action and less talking, you know, because many of our youths today, they do a lot of talking, but the action is lacking. So we need to do a lot more action, yes, to make sure that we move things. I know the youth have the capacity, and if they push themselves, they should be able to move things. But in some of our countries, you find out that the youth are being used by politicians to do certain things that in the long run are not beneficial to them or they are the next generation.
You can find that everywhere.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
It's an African problem.
It's not only an African problem. We see in other developed countries, you see the youth, they are very educated, but they are used for negative, to achieve negative things that are not of use to the country. I don't want to call names, but we know some of the developed countries, we see that they've been used to abuse Africans, yes, and to use African resources for nothing, yes, and make sure that we keep quiet. But we've seen in recent years, a lot of our youth are educated. They are putting education first, yes, and we are hopeful that if they put all their shoulders to the wheel, we should be able to make a lot of progress.
We've exhausted this time. Quickly, Julde, one more question
so I know
before
this
we wrap
is not
up.
the first time the center is having NGOs forum. So the previous one, what has been the achievements that were registered as part of these forums? Okay,
I will just pick off one. Yes. In one of the topics that we worked on was communities discriminated against by work and descent. And we brought countries like Mauritania, Niger, Nigeria, Ghana, and the Gambia. We had studies done in those countries, and we even brought some of the people who are affected, the victims or the survivors. And it was interesting that the forum was able to adopt a resolution and to urge the African Commission to come up with a working group that will look into those issues, one. Two, and to also make sure that the forum puts it as a permanent topic for discussion. Because when we were growing up as young people, now we are advanced, we are senior citizens, but then we used to hear ki gewella, ki gerla, ki tegala. Yes, but for us, you know, these things were in abstract, but these studies have given a face to those names. Some of them have gone to those communities and came up with reports. The reports are available. If you reach out to the center, we have studies of at least 5 African countries in where communities are discriminated against because of their work, because of their descent, and it has also affected a lot of people. We know of some countries where even they do not share cemeteries, they do not share praying grounds, they do not share food, they do not sit together to eat. But these are happening in our communities, and we've been able to get the African Commission to come out with a resolution. Yes, and that resolution is also available at the African Commission website and also at the African Center
Thank you
website.
very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
We've exhausted the time. So the event is 7th to the 9th of May.
At OIC.
At OIC Conference Center. Yes, thank you. That was Mrs. Hannah Foster, Executive Director, Africa Center for Democracy and Human Rights Studies. Viewers, will take a short break. After the break, we'll head to the last segment. We'll be back. QTV this morning, I am Ibrahim Abalde and I'm with Julde Njai. From talking to Hannah Foster there. And of course, now let's move on to cervical cancer situation and preventive strategies in the Gambia. We have Mbayang Jom, Senior Communication Officer, expanded program on immunization, and Mamanding. Modlamin. So they've changed to Modlamin. Okay. All right. So we have Modlamin here. Mbayang, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
First of all, congratulations on your graduation. I was so happy to see Mbayang graduating.
Thank you.
Mashallah, I've lived to witness your graduation.
Thank you, I'm honored.
Yeah, so Lamin, it's good to have you too.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, so we'll be talking about cervical cancer, I mean, situation in the Gambia and preventive strategies. You know, we want to know what this situation is in the Gambia. First, let's start with Mbaya.
It's a warm good morning to all our viewers out there, and we are honored, of course, to be here today to talk about cervical cancer. And cervical cancer had been one of the burning or leading cause of cancer deaths among women in the Gambia. And if figures, or let me say, if cervical cancer data were to be presented, wallahi, we will not believe. And those are women that visited our health facilities. But how about the good number of women who are out there who never knew about cervical cancer, who never even thought of going for a cervical cancer screening? So the cervical cancer is honestly something that is a burning issue within the Ministry of Health. And of course, the expanded program on immunization deem it necessary. Yeah, cervical cancer is not curable, but cervical cancer can be prevented through vaccination. So for just last week, we concluded another vaccination exercise on HPV, the human papilloma virus, in celebration of our significant progresses that we have made over the past decades when it comes to preventing vaccine-preventable diseases. And most of them were early childhood infectious diseases that were so very deadly. But with immunization, honestly, the Gambia had gained a progressive success in preventing those infectious diseases. And when we talk about immunization nowadays, we are not only targeting children under 5, but rather we are targeting the entire population. So immunization is a life course now. It's not only like it used to be only for children. And for this year, as we concluded celebrating the Africa Vaccination Week, starting from the 24th of April to the 30th, it's an annual initiative that is celebrated every year with the help of WHO, the World Immunization Week, but then not forgetting the African region equally had done something or had made progresses when it comes to preventing some infectious diseases over the past decades, and the Gambia honestly had made significant gain. So this year we took the opportunity to also renew our global commitment in trying to reach every child. So this year we were like, okay, the initiative we are going to take to celebrate the Africa Vaccination Week was to roll out a HPV vaccination across the country. And as we speak, we had vaccinated roughly 8,000 girls just within 5 days. So
8,000?
8,000
How did you manage to do that?
Across?
Yeah, across. Yeah, of course.
Were you using AI to vaccinate?
Not really. We have our gallant public health officers. They are heroes. They know what they are doing, and they are good at doing it.
Okay.
So within 5 days, we managed to vaccinate 8,000 girls. And we are saying to the general public out there, the vaccination of HPV doesn't only stop within those 5 days, but at any given time, once your girl child turned 9 years,
yes.
and we are looking at not only 9 years, but we are taking it as a range of age from 9 to 14. So long as you have an adolescent girl who is within these ages, please go to any public health facility. The HPV vaccines are available and they are free of charge. And get your child vaccinated.
Lamin, Julda.
Yes, Lamin. Good morning.
Morning.
Please introduce yourself for the benefit of
Yes.
Good morning, viewers. My name is Lamin Jammeh. I serve as the Expanded Program on Immunization Regional Operations Officer for Western One Health Region. Yeah.
So thank you. Bayan did mention that cervical cancer is one of the leading causes of deaths or among women. It's one of the most prominent. And she also did mention that the issue of vaccination, that you have been rolling out series of vaccination campaigns in the Gambia. But despite the fact that, you've enrolled so many vaccines and vaccination campaigns, the number is still very high. How can you explain this high burden on women in the Gambia?
All right. Thank you so much for the question. So the program launched the HPV vaccine in 2016. That was the first time that the campaign was conducted. Then ever since, the program has been organizing vaccination campaigns for HPV. So looking at the burden and then comparing it to our immunization performance, because for the HPV vaccination we are targeting girls aged 9 to 14 years. So that also, the goal is to protect the girls that are unexposed to the human papilloma virus. That is the goal. So vaccination actually reduces the burden, because HPV, as we understood, is a virus that is transmissible. It moves from one person to another. So it infects both men and women. So our primary goal is to protect women and girls, but men are also affected. So because we are a resource-constrained country, the resources that we have are actually targeted to the ones that are most vulnerable, and that is women and girls. So we are vaccinating them, but in terms of the burden, the vaccination actually is helping to reduce the burden of HPV in the country. But like Mbayan mentioned, the problem with the Gambia is the lack of screening and also on awareness of the general population about cervical cancer and HPV. So we're encouraging the general public to make sure that they go for screening, especially for women and girls. What is recommended by WHO is those at the ages of 21 onwards can have HPV screening every 3 years, at least to neo status. Neo status is really important. So for men, there is no routine standard screening for them. But what is recommended is for them as well, when they suspect that they're infected with HPV, when they go to a nearby health facility, what the healthcare worker would be looking at would be lesions around the genitalia, genital warts, and maybe if there is any discomfort. So that could be suspected, and then maybe HPV DNA testing can be done for men. But for women, pap smear tests can be done, HPV DNA tests can be done, and also visual screening.
Available in all health facilities in
most public health facilities. Yes, so it's available.
Okay.
Yeah, so yes, go ahead.
So in terms of, because we're also not talking about the situation, but preventive strategies. So as the communications officer, Mbayan, what are some of the strategies that you have in place?
Okay, just by extension to what Mulamin have said, we are all out to making sure that we prevent cervical cancer cases, especially among the young population. Yeah, for those that already had the infection or that had the disease, there are a hell lot of things that can be done for them, because we have the treatment and also the curative part of it that is provided if the virus or if the lesions were not chronic. They can do some cryotherapy for you. They can do so many other things for you so that it doesn't get to the cancerous stage. That is when you have visited the health facilities on time, because visiting the health facility on time too, it's very important. That will really tell how much nurses or doctors can improve your condition. But aside from doing the cervical cancer screening, aside from having some of the treatment, the early treatment during the disease, we are also giving out the vaccination. So the vaccine had been the primary prevention of cervical cancer. So please, for every parent out there, allow your girl child who is age 9 to 14, I'm sorry, to please be vaccinated against cervical cancer, because it's the most effective form of preventing cervical cancer. And for those that really didn't know their situation, we're saying let them go out for cervical cancer screening, and most of the public health offices have it, and it's free of charge. So let them be screened,
including rural and underdeserved communities.
Everybody. So I think I talked about renewing our global commitment.
Yes.
There is nothing rural or or urban when it comes to health. And
we know health facilities in rural areas are not like the urban area there. We all go to the rural area. There is
so that would depend on the category. There is no inequality, but it depends on the category of the health facility. When we say health facilities, we have the general hospitals, we have the teaching hospitals, we have the district hospitals. So health facility is a general term that is being used. So each of the level of the facility would dictate the services that they will be offering. So this is what is happening with the health. But then those rural people are also not left out. And if I should tell you, they are the ones that really, you know, are our anchor. They are not immunization very, very much. Those rural populations you're talking about are having their children vaccinated more than the urban population that are said to be committed. We are educated, at least we had some, you know, some lesser, you know, life is, let me say, life is easy for us here.
Life is good.
Life is good around here. But you go to the rural areas, you see women driving donkey cars just to get to a clinic.
Yeah.
How many women would do that in the urban? We rather just stop a taxi. At times others, we even had a family car. At times we are so, you know, how do I even say that?
Lazy or
we always can call
yeah.
a taxi to a town trip at the door of the facility, and we come down. But the rural people, honestly, they are brave. And they are honestly doing very well when it comes to consuming the immunization, the routine services on immunization that we are giving, and we are saying a good thanks to every woman.
Don't you think it's that wave of, you know, being educated that is not reaching them for now? Because there are a lot of vaccine hesitancy within the Greater Banjul area. People might think, okay, they are here to burn our girls. They might not give birth if they take the cervical cancer injection. And what do you say to that suggestion?
So come on,
yes,
please let me comment there. Okay. So that is a myth. We have a lot of myths around vaccination. Not just the HPV vaccine, the measles, the rubella, the BCG, the one that protects against tuberculosis. So we have a lot of myths around vaccination. So, and this myth is actually propelled by the big pharma in quota. Big pharma, that is companies that are responsible for distributing, that is manufacturing and distributing medicines. Because the goal of vaccines is to protect you against diseases. So if you are vaccinated and immunized, it means you will not fall sick of a particular disease. Let's say, for instance, the HPV. So if you are vaccinated against HPV vaccine, it means you will not have cervical cancer. So the pharmacies that are manufacturing medicines around cervical cancer would not make profit out of that. So now they have their own paid agents, these websites, we call them disinformation and misinformation websites, that will propel this kind of agenda, that this vaccine is actually procured to maybe cause infertility in girls, or cause impotency, or make the girls barren and all that. So what I can tell the general population is that this information is false. The purpose of the HPV vaccine is to protect against cervical cancer. And the effectiveness of the vaccine is 92 to 100%, meaning if you take the vaccine, you are guaranteed protection. Because if you look at the human papillomavirus, it has over 100 serotypes. It's just like polbohamne, I'm a different kanam. So, but the vaccine we're using in the country, Gardasil 9, protects against 9 serotypes. So among those over 100 serotypes, we have high risk serotypes and the low risk. The high risks are the ones that causes cancer, especially cervical cancer, anal cancer, oropharyngeal cancer, different types of cancer on the body. So, but the vaccine that we have, the most serious or dangerous serotypes are the 15 and the 16. The vaccine we are currently having in the country protects against that. So, the population, the general population having the notion or opinion that the vaccine causes infertility is actually false. So, and also, looking at the level of education, a lot of researchers have proven that level of education does not actually correlate to vaccine acceptance. Because for us in the Combo, generally, we feel once you are educated, you know a lot of things about, you know, professions. Because vaccination or immunization is actually a specialty. Medicine, nursing are actually specialties. But you have random people in society because they went to school from grade 1 to grade 12, or actually went to university, but you don't study nursing, you don't study public health, you don't study medicine. But because you are able to read and write, you feel you have the right to have notions or opinions about a particular medication. So that is the problem that we have with people around the Combo. Right? But in the rural communities, of course, they're able to read and write, even though the notion is that literacy level in rural area is actually low. But I personally feel they are more educated than people here that claimed they're educated, because they read and they understand, and they do not just believe any information that is sent around social media. But people around here, mostly, once you see or listen to one audio on social media, or maybe you come across a post That's it. You easily believe. They're easily convinced, which is different in rural country, rural villages. It's very difficult to convince those people. Once you equip them with the right information, they guide and seal themselves with that information. Yeah. So that is it about that information.
Interesting. So what are the...
By extension, just allow me,
Yeah.
by extension to what Molamin was saying to those vaccine production farms, each and every vaccine undergoes clinical trials. And if your vaccine has passed one trial, it doesn't mean your vaccine will pass the final trial. And if my vaccine doesn't pass the final trial, I will make sure I want to, disrupt market for those whose vaccine have passed the final trial. So that is one aspect as to why others will come out to say, I am a medical doctor, I am a vaccine manufacturer, but this vaccine is this, is that, is that, is that. Everything is politics. And on top of that, we also have anti-vaxxers. With the era of the social media, we all know the social media is a job for others. It's a, they aren't there, living there. And if I post anything that is, alarming or something that is eye-catching, people will always listen. And the more share you have, the more likes you have, the more views you have, the more money you get. So why won't I just drop in anything I feel like dropping there? So this is what causes the misinformation. But then what we also would have to tell the general public is that let the health of us and also our families be something that we handle, and don't really allow anyone to really dictate what your health needs are. And when it comes to the educational aspect of it, over the past years we've been doing, after each campaign we always go ahead and do some survey to really know what are some of the things that are happening out there. We are only not vaccinating, but rather we have to know what is really happening, to those communities we are giving the vaccines to. Because without the communities, children will not be brought to the facility. And without going out to the communities to know what is their concerns, we probably will not be able to get to our goals. So we always go out and do survey. Just a couple of months ago, we did the PCCS, and this will always help you to know what is happening. And wallahi, the Gambian women had been our supporters from the word go since inception of vaccines or the immunization program in 1979 in the country.
Thank you very much.
And we have also seen that women in the rural areas honestly nurture the habit of going to the clinic.
Thank you, Mbayang. Thank you, Maud Lamin, for coming on the program. We have exhausted the time already.
Wow,
if you want us to talk about this more, you will be here on Thursday night, 9 p.m., where we'll delve more, onto this, and you'll be getting a full 1 hour.
We'll be back.
Yes, we'll be
back, honestly, because it's like we've not even said anything.
So it's all right. Let's do this on Thursday. Let's do this on Thursday. Yeah, so Julta, this is all we have.
Yes, until we come your way tomorrow for another edition of QTV This Morning. Until then, it's a bye.
Yeah, so we'll be back tomorrow, inshallah, same time, same station, same channel, with different topics. Until then, bye-bye.